Alright everyone, what's up? Game number 2 between MYM SaSe and OGS's Nada. Here we do have Nada as the blue Terran at the 9 o'clock position, and in the 6 o'clock we do have MYM's SaSe as the red Protoss. So this is game number 2, Terran versus Protoss. This time we're taking a look at a matchup on Metalopolis. We can see right here both these players in a close air position, so possibly going to see some dropping, some harassment, some sort of air usage, if you will. Might be seeing some Banshees from Mr. Nada, and possibly seeing some more Prism harassment, maybe even Void Rays, all sorts of possibilities for our buddy SaSe over here. So SaSe did end up winning that first game. Make sure, of course, you watch that before you watch game number 2, and don't cry spoilers because you watched game number 2 before game number 1. So if that's a spoiler, that is your fault entirely. So yes, we did see last game with some really nice harassment from SaSe. Basically what happened is Nada tried to open up with that 1 racks fast expand. Typically very doable, but unfortunately what happened was SaSe pushed out with some 3-gate pressure, started with Stalker Heavy, which worked really well against Nada's Marines, but then threw in some sentries and actually managed to force Nada on one base because of force fields. So Nada had to tech all the way up to Medivacs until he could actually push out. So yeah, really nice play there by SaSe. That's something I really like, and Protoss players, you should definitely try to incorporate that in your play. If you scout a fast expansion, man, get a couple sentries out there, drop a proxy pylon, and just keep them on one base. It will be absolutely infuriating. You just really have to make sure that you pay enough attention to that front wall of the Terran player, because if he does push out, probably going to roll over your forces. Chances are you won't have enough to contend with him if he's churning out forces off of one base, and you yourself are going for like a 3-gate expand like we saw SaSe do last game. But yeah, if you pay enough attention and you can keep those force fields down, that Terran player is going to be in a lot of trouble. And what happened, of course, was SaSe was able to capitalize on containing Nada, getting up a second Expo, and in fact moving into a third after that point. And that just put him in such a big lead. And then he also won the first big battle that took place. But anyways, you don't need to hear me describe it because you probably have already watched it. So we can see Nada trying to move out with this scout right now and actually not going to catch SaSe for quite some time. We can see SaSe just about to move into the base of Nada. So he's going to be checking for anything fancy. As you can see, we're not going to be seeing another fast expansion here from Nada, or at least nothing nearly as fast as they did do last game, because he does have this refinery up right now. And there is that tech lab. So going to be working his way up to possibly Marauders or Reapers. Now that Marine is out, and unfortunately for SaSe, not going to actually be able to push into that main base of Nada anytime soon. Taking a look inside of SaSe's base, pretty standard so far. Actually just got up that assimilator. You can see saturating that right now. There's that Cybernetics core finish. We can see SCV for Nada going to be pushing on out. Is he going to be? Yes, probably just going to be actually checking. Yes, there we go. So he's actually going to still be moving. I expected him to check this position. Just wasn't certain. You never really know. Players have done crazier things. Probe Scout still chilling out. Proxy Pylon, yeah, hidden in a very nice spot back here, just basically so far away that it is not very likely for Nada to check. Likely Nada will check positions like here, may even check back here, and very likely that he would check back here, but not that likely that he's going to check all the way at this other base for a Proxy Pylon. So there you go, saving up that Proxy Pylon for a future date. Probe managing to get away because Concussive Shell isn't finished yet. Very lucky Probe, but don't lead him to your Proxy Pylon. That'd probably be the stupidest thing you could do. Robo just about working its way on through right now. I don't know what I'm trying to say there. Another gateway coming on through here as well for SaSe. SaSe could be going for a 3-gate Robo. Possible. Might be seeing another gateway. It is possible. No way for me to know at this point. No other tech besides that. There's that Reaper going to be pushing on out right now for Nada. So doing some scouting with that there. We can see that Expo trying to work its way on through, and oh man, Proxy Twilight Council, and you know what I'm fully expecting clearly with this. Fully expecting DT, almost 100% right now that SaSe is going to be dropping that Dark Shrine right after this. That's really the only position, that's the only reason to proxy a Twilight Council, really. Besides that, there's no other reason. But look at this push coming from Nada. Very dangerous situation right now for SaSe. Needs to be very careful. Forced to pull down with a ton of probes because he just does not have the army to deal with this yet. The Warp Gate research isn't finished, and here comes the Reaper Scout. Going to be more than a scout, though. Going to start to do some damage, target firing down those workers one at a time. This is very frustrating for SaSe as he tries to go deal with that Reaper, getting hit from the front over there. Warp Gate's finally coming in, and actually that alone is going to be enough to push Nada back. The Reaper does get dropped. There is that Dark Shrine coming through now. A little bit concerned right now because Nada, he did move in. He did get a full scout, and overall, SaSe was lacking. SaSe did not have everything that he should. Let's see how much of the base Nada managed to catch. Okay, so Nada didn't catch back here, so he may very well be thinking that any additional tech is back here as well. But moving in at that point in the game and only seeing a 2-gate Robo is a little bit of cause for concern. So I wouldn't be too surprised if he actually continues to push out and scout the edges of the map for any hidden tech. As we can see, of course, there is that Dark Shrine. Now let's take a look at what's going on over here. Here is a War Prism filled with Stalkers. Dark Shrine just about finished. I don't know if he's going to do... Is he going to do this first? Really? Wow. I almost thought that he would wait for the Dark Shrine to finish to do some Dark Templar dropping with this as well. But no, he's just going to move in with these Stalkers, try a little damage. He just wants to get some workers killed and then lift off and head back home whenever he gets in a dangerous position. One Marauder isn't enough to actually force you to move out. But no, lifting off and actually deciding to pull back right now. I guess he was a little bit concerned. There we go. Continue up this harassment. Yeah, again, there's really no reason. Now it's time to leave, though. That is enough Marines and Marauders for a cause for concern. So they're going to be pulling out of the main base of Nada right now. Now, here we go. Dark Shrine just finished. So that DT harass is coming sometime very soon. There's an additional gateway so we can warp in 3 DT at once. He is close to having enough Vespian. Not quite, though. Floating a lot of minerals, so I actually almost expect an expansion to come down with this DT harass. It is very likely to come in the near future. So first going to be moving 1 DT. Warped in up over here. Going to be moving that up into the main. Is he going to go for the natural? Okay, yes. So going to be going for that bunker right there. Needs to be very careful. Does not want to lose this War Prism. That would be incredibly dangerous. DT does get dropped because of a scan, but we just had 2 scans wasted from Nada. Nada must not have much more left. The Stalker's pushing forward to engage. Going to start warping in some DT right now. Come on. Let's do this, please. Marines are coming. Forcing that because he's really worried about losing that. There we go. So actually forcing the cancellation there and pulling back with that War Prism. Now at this point, SaSe has lost that element of surprise because right now, clearly, Nada realizes those DT on the board. He spotted the one up front. He dropped the scan. I'm expecting no turrets up here. I'm expecting turrets everywhere. Not everywhere, but just enough to deal with this. I would really expect one in the main, especially since you could deal with those warp-ins. So should be seeing a turret at some point soon. We have a few more DT right over here. And what is this? Wow. See, he's trying to make up for the fact that he's clearly behind economically by working his way to get up this high yield expansion. He's just going to try to cause so much harassment here from Nada. It's going to make it very difficult for him to deal with this. One scan dealing with that one, but here's another DT moving over here. Going to start working on the army. And is there any other DT working over here? No, there are not. There is one DT over here. This DT does get dropped again. Nada's been forced to save all of his scans to deal with these. Needs to be very careful with this War Prism, though. That Marine fire is going to be able to drop that very quickly. Does he get it away? Yes, barely getting it away. DT is going to be going straight to work on that bio, actually trying to get down the supply depot as well. SaSe needs to be careful about moving in with that War Prism any longer until that shield regenerates. But this has got to be so frustrating right now for Nada dealing with these DT. Again, there's still no turret inside of his main base, so this DT is free to go to work until Nada has enough energy for another scan. Is he anywhere close? Yes, he is going to be able to get a scan in just one moment. So this DT is going to get dropped very quickly, trying to work down that tech lab, but unfortunately not going to be able to do so before he does get scanned and taken out of the game. And again, that War Prism needs to be ever so careful, so very fragile. We did have the factory scout. Did it push all the way in? No, it didn't. He doesn't really have much scouting information than he had prior. So, but again, here we do have SaSe going for this expo here at the high yield. If he can get this up and saturated, moving over some guys right now. War Prism trying to start to work its way on in. Going to see some more DT. Yes, we are. And the whole point is he's, again, just trying to force these scans. And what does that do? Well, it makes it so that he's not using mules. And that's really a big advantage. If he can make it so that Nada isn't using mules, he's definitely going to hurt his economy quite a bit. Let's take a look at that income tab right now. So although Nada is ahead, he could definitely be further had he incorporated mules into the mix. But again, you can see no mules. He is being forced to save all of that energy. There's another scan to try to deal with that. A refinery very low. Hopefully he gets that repair. There we go. Repair is finally going down. Here comes that factory scout, though. That should be moving on right on through, and actually it should be able to get through enough to scout that there is no expo there, and that's going to obviously make Nada be suspicious of the fact that there may be expos elsewhere, for example, at this high yield. So there we go. Here comes that factory, and yeah, there's not enough anti-air to actually drop this out of the sky before that makes it all the way. In fact, there's not even enough anti-air right here, even though he does engage. There's just the one stalker, and there's that stalker and sentry. We do have this War Prism. Looks like it is mobilizing right now, starting to move out for another attack, another warping of units somewhere. There's that factory, and again, look at that scouting. No expo. So right now, Nada is almost 100% certain that the high yield is taken. And look at that, actually rerouting that factory right away, heading that straight on over to the high yield. And I wonder if he's going to catch it in time. He may very well. Yeah, I don't think Nada still doesn't have enough anti-air to deal with this before it actually gets that ever so important scout. There's Nada coming out with a ton of barracks right now. Let's take a look at the army tab. We can see about equal. In fact, SaSe is a little bit behind. Even with all this harassment, you got to realize those DT are so incredibly expensive. It does still hurt you going so DT heavy and going for so much DT harass just because they cost so much Vespian. We can see this one DT going to be scouting for that possible third here of Nada. Nada not looking to move into a third quite as of yet. He may actually move out and try to take out this high yield before he considers doing that, or he may do that in conjunction with the push. Either or is of course a possibility. Routing his forces back to his main. What is he here for? Was there must have been some, was there some sort of harassment that I did not notice? I don't think so. Okay, there we go. So here we go, moving back to defend his natural expansion, well, his high yield expansion, if you will. A couple proxy pylons getting placed down over here for SaSe as well. Still, that DT tech has yet to be spotted, and we do, of course, have this War Prism that is actually just moving around to do some scouting. He was checking for that possible basically hidden expansion from Nada. It definitely was a possibility. Got some upgrades coming on through right now for SaSe. He does have that level 1 upgrade. Also coming out with some Immortals right now to deal with those Marauders. Very, very Marauder heavy. Let's take a quick look here. We do have 19 Marauders as opposed to the 16 Marines. 6 Medevacs as well. So here comes that 2-base push from Nada, and the Expo might be coming shortly thereafter as well. But being so Marauder heavy, this could be quite dangerous because we do not have tech to deal with this bio quite properly. We don't have any High Templar. We also don't have any Colossus, so this could be a little bit dangerous right now. So here comes Nada moving on in. DT coming from behind. There we go. Lots of charge zealots moving forward. Is he going to be able to micro back? But he can't because of those force fields. Very dangerous situation, but I don't even think it matters. Look at these Marauders completely shredding. Even with those nice force fields, the DT working in the back, I really think that Nada has enough to deal with this. This is unbelievable. This goes to show you how that normal gateway tech, it just has a really hard time against Marines and Marauders. Now, we can see right now, Nada is forced to push back, but he's just absolutely unbelievable. Done just incredible amounts of damage here. And can actually be forcing the Stalkers back now with these reinforcements. So there you go. A heavy Marauder just tearing through this gateway army. He hasn't taken out this Expo, but he did do a lot of damage. He managed to take out quite a bit of workers. Taking a look at the units killed there, we have 52 total units killed here for SaSe as opposed to just the 48 of Nada, but Nada killing 13 workers, and a few of those, of course, were at that high yield expansion. Let's take a look at the units lost tab. Do I've got one of those? No, I just got this thing over here because people have been asking for the resources lost to be checked out, so there you go. You can take a look at that. Let's go back into production over here. We do have Ghost coming on through right now for Nada, and that's actually going to work very, very well. Again, as we can see right now, SaSe just sticking to that gateway tech. Not a fan of Colossus, evidently. He's just not looking to move into that yet, and that's a little bit dangerous, I must say. I'm a little bit concerned for him. I really think Nada could actually manage with just this bio build to do very well against what we have SaSe having here. Obviously, we saw that last engagement, and surprisingly enough, those Marauders tore through a lot more than I really expected them to, especially given the fact that SaSe did have that high yield up and should have more or less been in a strong position, but it really just has to do with the fact that those Marines and Marauders are very, very strong against just those gateway units. So we can see right now, Nada going to be coming out with his third at this point. Looks like SaSe isn't ready to move on to his third quite as of yet. Might be doing that sometime soon, though. We do have this probe mining from down here, so maybe dropping that third. Here we go. It looks like, I don't know, he's thinking about it. He is thinking about it. There it is. So that third's going to be coming right now. At the same time, though, we are seeing Nada push out again. Very Marauder heavy. Taking a look at these units over here. 30 Marauders. He also has one Ghost there in the mix. Let me put that music back there. Scan going down to check where the army of SaSe is and check the composition, and he is going to be looking to do well right now. I'm a little bit concerned for SaSe. This is a very nice mix of units here. Just those Marines and Marauders from Nada. I don't think he has enough at all. There's just so much going on. Target firing down that Immortal, and now these Marines and Marauders are going to tear through this composition here of SaSe. He just does not have the proper mix of units to deal with this Marauder heavy army, plus those Medevacs healing them up, increasing that life expectancy of them. Scan going down, dropping down those DT, and SaSe going to be losing this Expo right now, loses all of his units, and there you go. SaSe is forced to call the good game. Now this game we did see SaSe actually open up with some DT tech. Now unfortunately for him, Nada was actually fully prepared for that. He was saving all of the scans, and he got enough turrets to actually properly deal with that DT threat. After properly dealing with that DT harass, Nada moved out with a factory scout, and in seeing that there was nothing at the natural, actually moved up right to the high yield where SaSe had actually dropped his own expansion. Once spotting SaSe's Expo at the high yield, Nada did move out with a Marauder heavy force, and although it was basically pushed back from SaSe, it wasn't done to the effectiveness to actually stop him from doing some damage. We did see Nada do enough damage to the economy to actually push back SaSe a little bit and halt his army production just a bit, because he did manage to kill a few workers in that initial push. And although he held off that first initial push, SaSe had a really hard time with that secondary follow-up, very Marauder heavy. Also seeing some Ghost in the mixes there for some EMPs. Just the fact that Nada was so Marauder heavy, and the fact that SaSe was pretty much only on gateway tech, it was a bit too much for him to handle, because as we all know, Marauders do very well against that gateway heavy army. So there you have it, guys. That was game number 2 between SaSe and Nada in this best of 3 series. Going to be moving on to game number 3 in just one moment. Remember, if you like the content, be sure to subscribe to the channel. And as always, guys, keep watching and keep owning.